right, good morning. Here we are. It is Sunday morning, and yesterday I was able to get a few hours in on the buggy. Let me show you what's going on. I went ahead and put some mock-up links. Got my lowers tacked in place at the chassis side. Tacked in place at the axle side. This is some 1 3/4 Hero tubing that I have left over from a handrail job I did last year. So I just tack welded the hind bungs in here. So these will make great mock-up links. I'm not spending, this is something I already had, so I'm not spending a bunch of money chopping up, 2-inch quarter wall DOM. So yeah, so this is where I'm at right now this morning. I've got my lowers tacked in. I tack welded on this little bracket and threw a shock up there just to see what it would look like. I was geeking out on that yesterday. I have taken and moved this joint forward about 2 inches. I'm sort of debating on whether or not I'm going to do some more. What I really want is I've got the axle mocked up right now at 119-inch wheelbase, and what I really want is I want this axle to be in the center of the bend right here. That's going to give me the most up travel and clearance for the upper link mounts. So I'm still sort of messing with the measurements here and the geometry. I need to have this tail section here long enough because the whole purpose of this tail section is to put the spare tire down low, trying to keep our center of gravity down low. But at the same time, I need to be cognizant of the front of the fuel cell, which is going to be somewhere in here, and make sure I have enough distance from the back of the X-brace or the cab back here, or you could call this a seatbelt bar. Make sure I have enough distance from there to where the radiator, which will be mounted here, or intended to be mounted here, doesn't interfere with the fuel fill tube that goes out to the side off of the fuel cell. So I'm going to go ahead and stop real quick. I'll throw the fuel cell up here so you can kind of visualize what that's looking like, and we'll keep talking. All right, so we're over here on the other side of the car here, driver's side. This is a fuel cell. This is a genuine Jazz 32-gallon Jeep Speed cardboard version. And you know what? This is super light. So I don't think it'll leak. It's going to be a really nice fuel cell. Anyway, so I was talking about this distance here. I still have some room. I can move this forward, I believe. And then, like I said, I want to get this axle in the center of this bend. From here back, spare tire cradle. I still have some room. I can move this up a little bit, and I just got to figure out this optimal distance here. Trying to keep everything compact, center of gravity forward, center of gravity low, all of the weight in the vehicle toward the middle. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Let me show you what I'm doing with the upper links. I'm mocking that up. Okay, so we're back over here on passenger side. Working on upper link mount tabs for this fabricated housing. I'm just going to tack everything in. Again, guys, and I don't know if I've expressed this enough. When doing something like this, everything is just tacked in. The chassis is just tacked together. Everything, link tabs, everything tacked in. You're going to you're going to have everything tacked in just enough to where it will hold in place, build the whole car out, and start adding accessories, start tires and wheels, doing all your articulation testing, making sure everything clearances, making sure you've got, making sure every component is happy and everything's working together. You only want to tack that stuff in. You don't want to finish weld anything, because there will be times when you're glad you tack stuff in. As you go down the line, you may have to break tacks, you may have to move stuff around, you may have to modify, you may have to change. So anyway, okay, enough of that. Upper link. So upper links on the rear, there's a cross tube that goes right here. Sort of, this tube right here sort of represents that. It is a 188 wall tube. Link tabs come off of that tube. This small piece of tube, 1-inch tube, represents the upper link. Comes back to the top of the axle housing here, and you've got link tabs going that way, link tabs going that way. So I'm over here on the computer in Fusion 360, messing around with link tab design and sort of getting a baseline of stuff figured out for the top of the axle there. One of the things I wanted to mention was the way these lowers are mounted. This was the original design for the chassis. If you guys have followed Kevin Jones at all, Stryker 3, his race car build, his 4800 build, his shop guys told him for a trailing arm car, these links need to be a little bit more parallel. I've been doing a bunch of research, and everything I find is 6 of one, half dozen the other. So for now, I am going to go with what I know and leave these lowers mounted here. We have a lot more triangulation. Now, what Kevin is doing is he is mounting his lowers on the outside of the subframe rail here, which means these lowers will be a lot more parallel. They'll still be triangulated or angled a little bit, but they'll be a lot more parallel. If I get to the point where I build this chassis out, the intention is to sell it first, but if I don't sell it and I keep it, I'll probably keep on tinkering, and I may run dual link mount positions just to see what it does, you know, R&D. So that's the gist on that. I think right now I'm going to stick with what I know. This is the original design for the links. We have quite a bit of triangulation. I'm out here quite a bit wide on the axle, but I need clearance for a big old shock and a big old OD on shock spring diameter. It's like 5 1/4. Big old 3.0 IBP shock that's going to go here. And when you articulate, you don't want that spring to be running in the frame rail. So that's why they're out quite a bit on the axle. A rock crawler with a smaller shock or a smaller spring diameter and a narrower frame rail, you could run these inward a little bit more. This frame rail right here is set wide to accommodate the big 32-gallon Jeep Speed fuel cell. So, all right, so that's where we're at. I'm going to keep on working, and we'll be back in a little bit with some updates. All right, so I think I got a good baseline for the link mount here. What it needs is this outside mount needs to be moved forward. So the relief in here for this angle on the side of the housing, that relief in the link mount needs to be adjusted. And then I want the rear faces of the link mount to be parallel. So that's kind of where I've got this line drawn in here, because I'm going to put a gusset across the back of these and then maybe try to sort of wrap it over the top a little bit. But this is a good baseline. I just cut this out of 16 gauge steel just to get me where I have a baseline that I can sort of design off of, because the top of this diff housing is a little bit, it's not exactly like it is in the drawing on the computer, because of the welds in here and grinding the welds off and sort of changing angles a little bit. So the other thing I want to do is make sure this front side of the link mount is vertical, or as close to vertical as I can. And there's a couple other things I want to change. Right now, the heim is a little bit high. I can drop that heim down just ever so slightly. And then right now, the angle's not quite right. It needs to be rotated this way. So rotate it this way a little bit, and so I can shoot that window right there for that upper link to come in through that S-bend in the chassis. And just make sure I have all my links and my link mounts parallel to each other. That's a big pet peeve of mine. If you ever see, I don't know, it's a pet peeve of mine when you see the link mounts kind of kicked, but the links heading out at a different angle than the link mounts are attached. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference in performance because you have a lot of movement or in that spherical ball in the heim joint, but it's just something I really like to see. I'm sort of a stickler for having that. So anyway, good baseline. I'm gonna try this same thing on the other side. What's a little bit difficult about doing this is the center line of my housing is right here where this line is. And the reason being is because the pinion is offset like 2 1/8 to the right side, and or the passenger side. And I did that because I wanted to have equal length axle shafts on this housing. So when you do that, your pinion is going to be offset a little bit. So that means the pinion is going to be offset 2 1/16 or 2 1/8 on a 9-inch housing. The pinion is offset to the one on a low pinion. It's offset to the on the low pinion rear. It's offset to the passenger side, and so that means the drive line comes out at just a tiny bit of an angle from the center of the output on the transfer case. But the reason I bring that up is it makes it a little bit difficult because your link mounts are not going to be the same passenger side, driver side, because the center of your pumpkin or center section of the housing is offset. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and keep on moving on this. I'm gonna flip this around and try it on this side, see how far my angles are off, and then we'll go from there. So here we go. All right, so a couple hours later, I've got these upper link mounts mocked up. I just cut them out of 16 gauge and made some adjustments. It's a little bit awkward because the center section, like I said, is offset. So I had to make this mount over here taller so they're level. And so I cut these out of 16 gauge and just sort of mocked them up. I've got these poles in here poles in here to represent my links. So I went ahead and cut these out 3/16, and now I've got to weld washers onto the actual mounts. And I'm going to do that with the TIG welder, and I'll come back over here and get these link mounts adjusted and tack welded on there, and can move forward to the chassis side upper link mount. These are my actual upper link mounts for the rear axle. Cut these out of 3/16. Got these all cleaned up and deburred, and I've got these weld washers I cut on the plasma table, and I'm going to go ahead and weld these on here for a little reinforcement on these holes, and that'll be plenty strong for an upper link mount. Thought I'd do a quick little video of my little weld washer welding setup. So I've got, this is an old welding, or not a welding positioner. I wish it was a welding positioner. This is a drill positioner. And I use it as a base because it's got so much metal in it. It's cast iron, and then this platen, and then this other piece of aluminum. It acts as a heat sink, so the part, in theory, doesn't get as heat soaked. So I just go ahead and TIG weld this in around. This is my TIG setup, and I'll tack it in a few spots, and then I'll just start TIG welding, and then I rotate it as I go, stop and start, and rotate all the way around. And yeah, better than some, not as good as others, but serves a purpose. Got some weld washers on there, and that'll keep them holes from getting hogged out, reinforce them. So just got these other two to go. Got that one and this one, and I can start mocking up these upper link mounts on the axle. So here we go. All right, it's been a day, been a long day. It's about 8:30 at night. I think I'm gonna call it, but I did make some progress. Things never cease to amaze me how much longer things take than you expect. But I did get my upper link mounts tacked in place, got them all fabricated, got my weld washers TIG welded on. They're sitting in there, they're tacked in place, and I've got my upper link tubes in right here. These are 188 wall. Link tabs will be connected to those, and the link tubes are going to shoot up through this window right here, or the link bars, I mean, are going to shoot up through this window right here and go up to the upper links, and that should be done. So yeah, it's been a good day, been a long day. Making progress, keep on moving forward. After I get this done, next video, it'll be working on these. And then I've got some headers, and I've got that new accessory drive for the front, so we'll check that out. And then we're gonna move on to the front axle. So this thing's sitting here, I've got it marked out, ready to cut, and I need to finish up this rear axle and make a decision on this tail section, get it where I want it, so I can use these tall jack stands over in the front. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.